Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our continued CMBAM training, which is going to be the last Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. The rest of you can do your own time zone math. Want to thank Kathy Simon and Tammy, whose last name I literally have to read it each time. Bongiorni. It's too many vowels, I don't know, for joining us this afternoon talking about programmatic advertising. I know that that's an area that we're all sort of interested in and wondering if there's anything we can utilize on the college level to make some extra money. So with that, say everybody, Kathy and Tammy, take it away.
Sounds good. Kathy, I'll share my screen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have mine open, sorry.
Oh, I need to make you a co-host. Forgive me.
It's
There
already
you go. All done.
All right. Can everybody see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And of course, it's not going to let me move things. Welcome to 2021, right? Okay, so I am Tammy, which most of you already know. And right now I am the paid media manager and senior digital strategist for 11D Media Group, 11D Marketing Group. We are switching back and forth. We're kind of going through what CMBAM is going through, what we did with when we skipped over from newspapers to media. We're doing the same thing from going marketing to media as well. And what I do for them is I place all of the digital advertising for all of our clients. Most of our clients are national, but we do have some local ones within Ohio. And I've worked 8 years for an agency. I've spent 8 months at the past one because I used to be at Kent State, and I was at Kent State as the assistant director of Kent State Student Media. And I was there for about 15 years before I went to here. And I was also the past president and VP convention planner of CMBAM, as well as the convention planner for Wampum.
And I'm Kathy Simon, and I think most of you know me. I am on my 21st year at Central Michigan University, CMU Student Media. As I was looking at the years, please don't add them up because then you'll understand how exactly old I am. I had one day a long time ago hoped I'd be retiring from the newspaper business, but instead I am learning about social media and digital media and programmatic and hope to share what I know, which is 1 year in on the programmatic. So that's me, former CMBAM board member, proud mama to all of my award-winning teams from CMBAM.
So before we really dug into things, we kind of wanted to go over programmatic. I wasn't sure how much everybody knew about programmatic advertising. And it's basically just the use of software to sell and buy digital ad space. They're basically garnering that about 88% of all the digital ads this year are going to be programmatic. Basically, the role that I'm in right now, about 90% of what I do is buying and selling and bidding on these types of ads. This is basically what I do all day long. And the reason why we do it is because they're the most effective type of ads. They're the most trackable for clients. And the reason why it's nice is because it kind of, although we always tell our students that you don't want to get rid of that customer experience, with programmatic, you can basically negate the reason for having to do a proposal every single time you do an ad. And it also gets rid of all of the quotes that you would have to do. And basically, in a gist, it serves the right ad to the right people, and it handles the placement for all of the impressions of your ads. We're not talking the typical display ad that you would throw on your website and walk away from and never look at again until you report on it to your client. We're talking about ads that are specifically targeting the people that would actually buy things, go into the business that it's advertising. and actually returning on investment for that customer. And the reason why it's so effective is because you're able to target the people you want. And you're also to be able to retarget. So anybody who left and didn't see your ad, or they saw your ad and had interest in it, you can retarget them and go after them again. And you could also do lookalike audiences. So basically, I can swipe all of my competitors' audiences and take them for my client instead. So basically, this is how it works. It's really easy. It's basically the same as any normal paid search that you would see. The viewer, so basically an audience member goes on Google, they click on a site, it puts up that site, puts up their impression for sale, and the advertiser bids on it. The highest bidder wins because it's an auction, and the ad is served, and hopefully the audience person clicks on it. So basically, the only difference with programmatic from all of that process is that these people actually want what you have. So the best way for me to explain it is I basically place the creepy ads that you see at night on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, where you're like, I was just talking about this the other day. How did they know I'm looking for it? That's me. I'm the creepy one coming after you a couple hours after you thought of what you wanted from IKEA. So that's why they work. They're going specifically after those types of people. So these are some of the examples. You can have all different kinds of platforms in programmatic. I heavily rely on display for the clients that we place for. We run a large amount of ads for the Special Olympics and the foundations and donations that they do. So we primarily run on Facebook for them. And what you'll notice with programmatic is that dependent on your advertiser, and it doesn't have to be someone as large as Special Olympics, it could literally be your local pizza shop. It only targets the platforms that make sense for them. So if your pizza place tends to get in more alumni and large scale donors and the VPs, it'll probably tend to go on Facebook because Facebook's a little bit more of an older crowd. And if it's not, and it's something, a pizza place where it's famous and everybody Googles it when they're in town for homecoming, then we would probably serve it on Google because everybody's Googling where's the pizza place near here. And then we also do Instagram. Instagram we largely use for video purposes. And the ad that's up on the screen is actually a video ad. It does a bunch of yoga moves. Organic Energy is basically a very healthy version of Red Bull. And what we do is we showcase yoga moves, we showcase meditation, and those are the ones we rely on Instagram because we'll partner quite often with sportswear companies for it. So those are some of what you'll hear for display. Now, when you hear the display word, they typically aren't called display. They're either called custom intent, which means the customer has intention to buy, or they're called custom affiliate, meaning that they're actually your competitors' clients and you're stealing them from them. So here's an example of the search. And we also place a large amount of search ads. Corporations and companies place thousands of dollars on paid search. It's very competitive, which is why you rely on programmatic, just because it requires so much legwork behind the scenes that you need programmatic because there's no way you could keep up on it all day. And the same goes. It depends what platform it goes on, depends on your market. So for example, one of our larger clients is in insurance. And obviously insurance usually tends to be an older crowd. So we predominantly are on Bing or Microsoft ads for them. And then we also put them on Google as well. So these are the platforms that I currently place on for programmatic. Basically, these are the top 8 that we utilize the most. We do a large amount just depending on who the client is. So we have clients that range anywhere from very young and dynamic, like our yoga gear company and our smoothie company. They're more on the Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram feeds, whereas we have a large amount of political campaigns that we put on Twitter. So it just depends solely on who you're advertising for. Kathy, you're up.
Okay, that's me. So I get to tell you how easy it is to place creepy ads at a local level. Now, first, I wanted to say that I've been looking at this programmatic for 3 or 4 years, and we have been doing Google ad buys for several of our clients over the last few years. And my big worry was I can't staff someone that can over and over again that can look. It's just so hard to train. How do I staff this and make this work when I don't even understand it? So, so I did talk with Terry Lucas, and he kind of opened my eyes a lot to how easy it really is to do this. And so what we realize is that we just need to find a partner. At the university level, we can find a partner, just like we did with our websites, just like we did with, our national buys. We can find someone that can partner with us to help us do this. So basically, what I found in my research was that programmatic does a lot of things for college media. Primarily, it gives us an opportunity to offer our clients an expanded digital footprint, which means they basically can use programmatic to extend their brand and their message further onto the web and target consumers directly. So consumers that are in the market to purchase and have a little bit more effective advertising results for their business. It also gives the local businesses an opportunity to compete against national brands. So for instance, our local owned apartment complexes, both of our large ones, compete with nationally owned complexes who are already doing this. So instead of losing the dollars to an ad agency who provides a service, how can we step in and grab this money and help our local apartment owners and our local businesses be more competitive? For the media company, it helps us grow our digital offerings. And most importantly, it does so without, I think, adding any substantial workload to what we do, because we are already doing in our case, I don't know in your case, but we are already designing rectangle ads and leaderboards and social media posts and videos and doing audio ads. So we're already doing all of this. So we don't have to do any additional creative work, so to speak, to add this to our offerings. And what it will do is actually make up for some of those print dollars that we were going to be losing to digital, right? So it also makes us competitive with the media companies that are in our market already. Because I don't know about you, but we have several that already come in and offer this service because they're all about an hour outside of our marketplace. So Mount Pleasant becomes very interesting to them because of the college that it's here. So it makes us competitive. We also have digital ad agencies, much like what Tammy's doing, who offer this service to our advertisers. Many of them are just mom and pop shops who have learned this somewhere along the line. And so they are now offering this service to clients. And then the final thing I think it does for us as student media companies is it gives us credibility and more and builds on the relationships we already have with our clients, because they've always looked to us to reach the student market. And it changes our conversation from what am I going to do because print is dead. Now we can say, okay, well, wait, we've got some ideas for you. So that's kind of why we decided to really research programmatic and put it onto our menu of things. You can switch the slide, Tammy. Tammy, can you give me a new slide? Oh, so
I'm working at like 3 screens.
Like multitasking. Okay, so so as I said, the programmatic gives us an opportunity to take what we're already producing and now take it into a digital environment. So basically, what programmatic offers is Display advertising, which means you can take your banners and your rectangles and you can have them placed onto websites that are targeted by demographics, psychographics, location, interest, intent, topics, and even past visits. And on mobile devices, you can also target your message so that so you can geofence around your store, your client's store, or your client's competitor's store and pick up some of their customers. So there's a lot of those kind of options. And it also gives you an opportunity to do like Gmail accounts where you can actually deliver ad message right into the Gmail account. So that message is already prepared for social media or for a rectangle or for a leaderboard can be now sent right to their Gmail accounts. Again, based on the same targeting options. It allows you to do search. So you can do text ad searches on Google or Bing's, much like Tammy showed you in the previous example. And we've been kind of doing that already with our clients. So this kind of just takes it to the next level. It allows you to do more ads onto social media so that you can actually do sponsored posts, utilize videos. On Twitter, you can do promoted tweets. On Pinterest, you can do promoted pins. So there's just so many things that can be done, again, based on who the client's customers are, who they're trying to reach, and where those customers are located. It allows you to place online video on YouTube, on Hulu, on Netflix, Amazon Video, on smart TVs that are carrying digital programming, so like Sling and Roku. So wherever video ads are streamed, if you're producing video for clients, you can actually purchase advertising through Programmatic based on, again, all the client's targeting options. If they want user intent, if they want in-market, people that are currently searching and researching buys, and custom intent. So all of that is available. And then the same with digital streaming. So if you are a fan of Pandora, Spotify, or your customer is, we can now deliver our audio messages that we're already playing on our podcasts and some of our other programming, and we can deliver those right on to those programs. So basically, the question for me was how to add programmatic in. So after talking with Terry, what I needed was a provider. So I had looked at 3 different service providers, all offering something slightly different, but we were trying to find something that met kind of our goals, and our goals really were about cost and ease of use, and people that matched and that can work with college students, because that's important, because they're going to constantly be training and teaching our students how to do this. So I looked at 3 companies. One was MLive. I don't know, none of you are from our Michigan, but MLive is their major media company in Michigan who was already doing programmatic sales, and I thought I needed to learn from them, and instead they wanted to be a partner, but they wanted to take 75% of the business and own the customers. And so I'm like, well, I don't know that that's an option. So then I talked with 2 providers, January Spring out of Colorado and PH Designed out of Florida. PH Designed is the company that Terry Lucas at Pitt was using. And I think you probably all sat in on his sessions on these before. And so I talked with both January Spring and PH Design. January Spring is kind of like basically a digital ad agency who specializes in finding partnerships like with media companies like ours. They did a kind of a Zoom call one day last spring, and I sat in on that to kind of learn what they did. And so their options were kind of all the same as PH Designed, but it came down to cost and service. So basically what these agencies do is they kind of serve as the intermediary, or the person in the middle, right? So they're the ones scheduling and placing the art and getting us the reports and so on. The difference in pricing was January Spring would take half of the buy. Like if you were basing your buy on a cost per thousand, they would take half of it. They were charging well, in this case, it was $4.50 a thousand. So, and then PH Design was taking $3.50 a thousand. But we would set the rate. So like I could go in and set the rate, whatever I wanted to make money, right? So I could set it at $10 or $12 a thousand. That was what was going out in our marketplace, but I really wanted to come in very competitively. So I was looking for someone that could, that was a little bit lower in price, that I could make enough money, but be competitive in the marketplace. And the other thing that PH Design did was they actually offered free design work, which I felt was really important, just in case we came up against problems with having enough student staff for design. They would create the art at no extra charge. And so to me, that was a plus, because they, that would help us out of a bind when we needed it. And the other thing with January Spring, and I think Tammy's agency does this as well, they charge a monthly service fee for all their reports. So it was going to be like $400 a month on top of the split. And so I wasn't quite sure we were there yet. I didn't want to make that huge of an investment without knowing how much money we were going to make. So we went ahead and signed with PH Design. So that was kind of the process on the identify and research the service partners. Then we kind of, during the same time, we were also identifying the needs of the clients, because this became part of the decision process too. What were our clients' needs and interests? What did they understand about digital advertising and programmatic, and what were their interests? And once we determined that, we decided that, again, PH Design really fit that, because it was a smaller agency that fit our needs. It's not saying that we might move on to a different agency later on, but that right now it fits our needs. So once we settled on them, we started developing our process. So we established our rates. We established our sales pitch and scheduling and reporting. And we tried to simplify the offerings so that everyone could understand what they were buying and what they were selling. So we settled on really being focused on targeted digital and social media, and on digital streaming and online video. And we put that into our rate card as digital offerings to go with what we already offer on our website. We included programmatic in 15 bundle pitches during the fall of 2020, and we converted 8 of those clients. So in the first year, and especially a tough year during COVID, we actually sold $18,000 worth of revenue. And it was about 15% of the ad budgets for those that were buying it. Okay. I'm going through this fast, so just slow me down and ask questions if you have any. And not every candidate, every client is a candidate, so we developed a list. We had a lot fewer accounts in the fall, but we developed a list of who we wanted to pitch it to. So we always conduct needs analysis and SWOT analysis with our clients. In this case, half of them were already consistent advertisers with us, so we kind of skipped that process. But for the ones that aren't, we obviously take care in determining what their needs are and where they want to go with their advertising budgets. We discuss with them how they use internet, where they have seen their competitors advertising, what do they understand about programmatic, and then what direction that they wanted to go in. The bundles were presented with the buy options and then tweaked where needed. And then we would create create the content after the client signed off on the contract. PhD provided us with a digital order template. We modified it. That's on the screen is the digital order. And so this is what our team uses to place orders with. And we email it over to PH Designs, and then they get started on the buys. This order is actually probably easier than any of our own forms and processes. And, it's a simple email to them based on what the advertiser wants and what the advertiser budget is. And, you know, if we have a needs analysis, we attach that. And then they will email back questions. They will make recommendations, and then they will go ahead and schedule the campaign for us. So this is an example of one of the campaigns we did. I have a couple here. This client basically wanted a 60K impression buy. He wanted to do targeted digital in market, basically those looking to buy, and affinity, those people who like food. And the description we provided to PH Design was very simple. Students and locals who have researched recipes and searched pizza places. And then we targeted, obviously, students 18 to 23, and then local residents. And then they placed the buy onto social media and into onto websites. And then this is an example of how not to fill out an order, because this wasn't very completely thorough when she did it, but they did have good email exchange that that fixed the problem. But BioLife did a 75,000 impression buy. They had a very vague request as far as just CMU students. And then we chose targeted digital remarketing based on age and location for the client. The PH Design sends us reports based on client needs. We ask for them monthly, but they will do it as frequently as you ask them to do. If you have a client that wants it on a daily basis, they will send it. If you have a client that wants it on a weekly, we choose monthly because we have other reports that we usually generate for the client. And we like to send them all together. One of the things that I really want to emphasize is that my reps don't do a good job of this, but all reps should be reading these reports before they send them out to the clients so that they understand what they say and what the data means. Is client is looking for us for advice. And so you know, I just feel like if we don't know what they say, then the client isn't getting their money's worth. We do also employ interns who serve as digital analysts, and they will go through these reports and actually make recommendations as well. But the account managers really need to be involved in that process. Okay, did we lose it?
No. Can you still see it?
I can't see it. So I'll just have to talk about the last slide because I can't see it.
I can still see it.
And everyone else?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can
okay.
read it.
I don't know what happened to it. It's gone off my screen. So anyways, my last slide is about PH Design itself. You know, I just feel like finding the right partner is what makes it so easy. We work with James and his wife, Julie Bissell, and they are, what I think I like about them the most is that they are familiar with student media. They work with students because James teaches at a university in Florida. And so he connects really well with the students, and he knows what to ask them because he knows where they're lacking in their information. He conducts virtual trainings, and he provides us with training materials constantly. So he gives us updates on new offerings. He gives us sales tips every week. And he most importantly makes recommendations on the buy. So he just doesn't passively take the order and place it. And he may come back and say, hey, this buy really didn't do well, and here's why I think it didn't do well. I think that, you know, this year going forward, I'm going to ask for reports sooner than monthly, because I think we need to be adjusting these buys as they're happening versus waiting until the end of the month to see if they're working. He turns around reports on time, that within 24 to 48 hours, they are in our inboxes, so we know so we can forward them on to the clients. And then he's easy to work with as far as payments. He always asks for payments after the run, so he bills you out at the end of every run. So again, it's been the easiest way for us to step into programmatic because, you know, it's kind of like I equate it to a light bulb. I know what a light bulb does, but I really don't know how it works. And same with programmatic. I know what programmatic does, but I really don't know how it works. And I'm not going to be able to train someone to make a programmatic buy. And I don't need to, because there's this company out here that does a great job and supports student media. So it works out really well.
So Kathy, when a client wants a video ad, you guys make that video ad for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So some of what we do basically on the professional side and the agency side, which is similar to probably what PhD Design does. Basically, we get reports every single day. So every single campaign that I'm running for programmatic, I get reports every single morning so that I know how to adjust for my clients. And what I do for the clients is basically we present to them on a weekly basis. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more aggressive simply because these are larger corporations. But what we do is we also keep shared drives with them where they can utilize the information and see what we're doing on a common basis. So what we recommend for some of our smaller companies that don't have access to some of the software we have is just using Google Drive. And what we do is have a Google sheet that we could work back and forth on to let them know what the best statistics are, what the metrics are, what recommendations we have for them, and anything that we have going on. We always keep a calendar of everything that we do to make the account better. And we also report on the things that aren't working for them. So this is an example of some of the stats that we provide for one of our clients. We work with Medical Mutual, which is a pretty large scale insurance company. And what we do is, this was an example of just 1 week for one of the campaigns that we were running for them for the Affordable Care Act. And the thing that you'll notice about programmatic is that it's not always just about the impressions. It's typically mostly about conversions. It's very similar to what you would expect of the old version of coupons, is that you want the results from it. So we focus a large amount on conversions and how many people actually either filled out the form that was on the website, whether it's signing up for a newsletter, providing an email for them, making a sale, or making a donation. And then we also focus on impression share. And if you're working with an agency for programmatic, I always would ask about the impression share, simply because that's how much of the market that your client owns. So for example, this one that's on the screen, they were second in the market behind Anthem with insurance. So these were things that we would look for them and then give them recommendations of how to be first. So anytime you could provide your client how to be first place in the marketplace on the internet, it's typically a good thing. And we always let them know what people are searching for, because if they're searching for that, we can obviously cater our ads to make sure that we include and say what people are actually looking for. So these are some of the terms that you'll see in programmatic: clicks, cost per click, click-through rate. We typically relate the cost per click, what you would assume as a cost per coupon type of saying. Like when we ran print coupons, it's the same type of thing. How much are you willing to spend per person that's walking through your door? And then obviously impressions are always a good thing, but anytime you're dealing with a targeted group, the impressions are even more important, because they're the impressions of people that you actually want. You're not just dealing with the display ad where you set it and forget it and walk away. You're dealing with something that's continuously changing and being updated by people like me. So what we do is we take all of these stats, and for every single client that we have, so like PhD Designed, like basically what they'll do is they'll take all of the recommendations and the reports and then go back to Kathy and be like, these are the things that you need to do, whether it's eliminating keywords, making a display ad more robust so it stands out on a page, making a video ad if the audio is too loud and you can't hear the actual talking. They'll actually tell you what to do to make yours do better in the marketplace. We always provide them what works and what doesn't work, and we keep track of it. That way, a year from now, when they return to us, we could tell them and be like, no, that didn't work last time. We're not doing it. The largest thing about digital is that you have to give it enough time in a testing period. There's a learning period of digital ads. And basically, it takes a good week for a digital ad to really take hold and to really see how it's going to play out in the marketplace. So anytime that we have a client, we tell them not to get discouraged in the first week, because that's when we're really starting to play with the ad to see what's working for us. And then we always rely on searching for competitors. So as opposed to a person ego surfing themselves, we're doing that on our competitors. So we're seeking out what people are looking from them, and we'll even target their brand names. So if your best pizza place in your area is Domino's, then one of our keywords is going to be Papa John's, because you want to steal that marketplace from them and garner all that audience from them. So Kathy and I put together this, basically this ending slide of why it's important for the client. And that's more from my end on the side. And it's basically just eliminating the noise. The reason why we do this is because we need ads that are actually going to bring results and bring the conversions and actually provide the customers coming into the door. It's to target the competitors' traffic, so that way you're building your own brand with those buyers. And you also want to find the people that have the intention to purchase your product, whether they're searching for something, and then you want to make sure that you return to them before they make a decision elsewhere. So it's more about focusing on the value of that customer so you can build your brand recognition and build that loyalty behind it. And I'll let Kathy focus on the student media.
Okay,
part.
I can't even see it. So hold on a second. Let's see if I can see a small, it's really weird what's happening on my screen. It's about this big. All right, so basically what it's done for student media is it's recovered some lost revenue from print and other areas. And given what I've seen happen, I think it's going to really, when our clients get back into the normal swing of things, I feel like we are going to make some huge steps forward and gaining back a lot of print revenue, because I'm not even sure we're going to come back with a print product in the fall, except maybe once a month. And so, you know, this year for us, it was $115,000 loss. Programmatic and some of our other digital stuff have made up about half of that, but I feel like programmatic has so much more potential. And if we only got 8 clients and they're already doing this volume, I feel like we're going to be able to really sink our teeth into making a lot more money coming back in the fall. And we won't have the expense. There is some expense to it, obviously, when you're sharing the wealth a little bit with someone else, but at the same time, we looked at it as, well, we pay a printer to print our paper, and that prints what, you know, that costs us at least, you know, $700 to $1,000 every week. So it's comparable that way. And we don't have to add staff to provide this service. What it does for us as well as obviously extends our services and our digital offerings. But I think it's most importantly, it also helps prepare our students for their careers. So many of our students are going to be going into advertising agencies, then digital is going to be their focus. And so it prepares them for being able to understand what they're getting into. And ultimately it positions our media company for the future and being able to still deliver the news, just changing the method and how we do so, and financing that method.
All right, so questions.
I want to go back to Heather, Heather, on the video question. One of the services PH Design does is create video. So if video is an issue or something you want to offer, but it's a staffing thing, they will create it. But it's really canned looking. So we've not used their video services. We do use like promo.com, where it's a service where they do have some canned video, but we can actually upload. It's really an easy man's way. Always look for the easiest man's way to do quick videos for a client. So we can we will shoot a lot of our advertising video on cell phones and then load it into promo.com, edit it there. It gives you text options and music to attach to it. And so I really have enjoyed utilizing that service. It's about $900 a year to
Kathy, can I just get on a plane and come to Central Michigan for like 2 weeks and you can just teach me how to do my job?
Or I could come there. I'm always looking.
Ooh, better yet, you can go see Heather in Norman and then like 5 hours down the road come to Lubbock.
Yes, I can do that. I'd be happy. You know what? I live to travel, so I'd be happy to do that. It's a good gig.
So I was talking to a professional friend of mine who is really convinced, A, that programmatic is the future that we all need to be in, but B, that my students need to have to go out into the world, the ability to create these reports, read these reports, and be able to give these reports to customers. So did PH Design train your students in how to do that?
You know, here's the weird part. I didn't get to sit through the training because it was, that was the day that my husband died. It was just, I wasn't able to sit through the training. So I don't know what was on that training module. I had to rely on Connor and Lauren, our ad managers, to go through that. So I can't answer that. I feel like we're going to be entering a new training cycle in April, and I will be asking him that very question, because I think that is, the data means nothing if you can't tell the client what it means, right?
Right.
So I think that has to be a critical training component, because you have to have some level of understanding how this all works.
Yes,
So,
I have all of their contact information from when Terry Lucas gave it to us on a screenshot on my computer in a file called "Do Something with These Things" that I've never done anything with. So this is super helpful.
good. I really think there's a lot of money out there. I really do.
So I don't know if you notice how confused I look. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning. It's like, Tammy, what is the easiest way to explain this, to your boss, your clients, your students? Like how, like I wrote down like 10 different things and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I know, like, again, I know what programmatic is. I know it's those creepy ads, but how do you explain it in a way? What's the most clear way to explain it to somebody?
Okay, so the clearest way, this has basically been my job in a nutshell in the past year, because I went from being at Kent State where we were just signing up with PhD designs, and now I'm doing it every single day. And now it's much easier to explain because I'm doing it every single day. Programmatic is just a really fancy way of saying that you're placing Google ads or display ads on steroids. That's all programmatic is. You're basically placing your standard paid search or your standard display ad to run on Google. The only difference is that you have an agency behind it that is basically utilizing the software that they have at their disposal to target the people that actually want your product. That's all the difference is. They just have the extended software in ad exchange that they're able to use the algorithms to make it work. That's all it is.
You know, Catherine, the way I explain it to advertisers and even to my reps, because I try to dumb it down even further, like, hey, you know that shoe ad you were looking at, or that shoe you were looking at on that shoe website, you know, and you didn't buy it, but you were looking at it. You might have put it in your cart, and then you left, right? And then you went to Facebook, and suddenly that shoe showed up in an ad on your Facebook page, or you went to the New York Times website, and that shoe showed up there. That's what it is. And you know what? Would you like to do that on a local level? And every single advertiser goes, sign me up. Like, yes. So
And
that's,
it's
they get that part, right? They get that creepy part.
And it's not your reps that physically have to figure that out. It's
Right.
someone else. They
Yeah.
tell someone else to do
Yeah.
it.
And that's the genius of having a partner like this. It's like, this can run indefinitely, no matter how often we switch sales reps, because I don't have to worry that I've got to train someone else how to schedule programmatic ads. Because I don't think we could if we wanted to. We have to be I'm not even sure how do you get into it to your own network, right? So that's the agency's secret. So I don't, it is nice. It is really a nice partnership.
And any terms of reporting, the agency that you align yourself with will explain it to you. Like, none of our clients understand what any of this means. We explain it to them. Like, I'm constantly teaching people day to day what all of everything that was on my slide, what it means. The only thing that really matters to them is how much money did they spend and how much do they have left and did they get money from it? That's all they really care about.
What our digital analysts will do to help the reps out is they will actually go to articles. It says like because you get those reports that says this is your impressions, this is your click-throughs, and this is your click-through rate, right? Your CTR percentage. And they will like, what does that mean? Well, then they'll look up articles to help the account manager or the client understand, like, here's what a good CTR rate is. Here's what you should be expecting to get on clicks on your ad. Here's, and they can, and that way the client can go, oh, so that's pretty good, right? And you're like, yeah, and and how do you improve that? Well, we buy more impressions, obviously. So, so it's been helpful to have that like go-between person to help, because account managers do get busy, have that go-between person helping them find that data.
Yeah, and there's usually benchmarks for everything to let them know how they're doing. And once you have a client that runs for 2-3 weeks, then you could start gauging against themselves and being like, well, this week you had a special and the next week you didn't, and you did better that week. Like, you could start explaining so that they understand based off of their own business operations.
Wow.
It seems so super overwhelming when you first start looking at it, like, how do we do this?
Well, again, I understand it, but it's like, okay, so if I go to Zesto Pizza and I say, hey, George, it's Zesto Pizza, we can do this programmatic advertising for you. And these are all of your options. And, so Kathy, you guys do this targeted audience. And I guess, Tammy, is that probably like the most popular thing that people like, obviously, right? Like, if I'm the marathon runner and I look up how to train for a marathon, and then I'm just start getting all this stuff about running, I mean, obviously that's huge. So,
yeah, and I bet your client probably already has been approached on this topic from a competitor or whatever, so they may understand.
Yeah, perhaps, and I mean, like Penn, like just like all of our campuses, right? It's like a billion mom and pop places. And a lot of them, I mean, I basically spent COVID just educating my clients on just the benefits of just, I'm going to call it regular digital advertising. So banner ads, social, like not even this deep dive into something, as complex sounding as this is, but it's actually really not, I guess. But,
and to be honest with you, this is what I do every day, and I rarely call it programmatic advertising. We call it digital advertising.
You just call it
That's
digital
just what we
advertising.
call it.
I would bet
But you don't have
you were
to-
doing a needs analysis with that client, Catherine, and you said, who are your competitors? And you could identify that one competitor that is doing digital advertising. You could say, here, let me show you, like, here's what's happening with your competitor.
Right.
I think that also brings them into the conversation, like, oh, I can afford to do what that guy's doing. And you're like, yeah, this is how easy it is.
And because you guys aren't charging all that much for that, correct? Like,
yeah, I mean, we're basically charging right now. We're charging about $8 1,000.
Oh, okay.
So and 100,000. Well, and here's the thing: based on your market, it doesn't go far at Penn. In Mount Pleasant, Michigan, 100,000 can go for 30 days. You know, in a larger market, you might have to buy, Tammy will tell you actually better than I could. But this is what I learned from some of our people, what our partners was, you'd have to buy 200,000 or 300,000 depending on your market size. So.
Like, to be honest with you, we have a brewery in Cleveland that runs with us, and they're one of our considered local clients because they only have 2 locations. They're in Cleveland and that's it. And they'll spend sometimes as little as only $5 a day. And they'll get thousands of impressions and tons of conversions. And it's just because we're targeting the exact people that they want. So their money is actually being spent wisely, but it's only costing them $50, $60 a week.
Wow. Okay.
So this is a way to do the targeted advertising that Facebook can do, but targeted more to a college audience who is maybe not on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can buy Facebook in with targeted. Yes. So, but the thing is, what we've had experience with Facebook and Instagram this year is like, especially because we have housing clients, is that they have stopped letting you do the 18 to 24-year-old market because of fair housing laws. So
Right.
it's a little bit harder to target on those right now. But what you can target, much like our BioLife company did, was I'm just gonna go to websites and I'm gonna target affinity and, you know, and intent and then get that 18 to 24-year-old that way. Yeah.
It's same goes with political ads. Sometimes you can't segregate certain age groups and you can, like, there's all kinds of policies, which is why it's nice to have an agency behind you because they understand all the rules. But we also have a large amount of real estate companies and the equal housing. We know how to get around those age groups. So the one that does do all the college housing will go after college age students or higher ed students, meaning 18 to 24.
Mhm.
So it's like there's rounds to get that target that you want.
Wow. All right, team, we have 3 minutes left. What questions do we have? I know Kathy and Tammy will be happy to take our emails until the end of time, but
plan to do that. And also, where will I be able to access the recording? Because I had to be with my boss for the first 30 minutes here today.
this will be uploaded to the CMBAM website probably, let's say by Monday at the latest. So,
Okay.
And we'll definitely push this back out because this was fantastic. This is definitely something that, you know, we've been talking about doing, but just haven't. And I mean, it sounds so stupid. And I knew that Terry mentioned that they had partnered with somebody at one point, but I never really looked into it. So like, that's what I was thinking, like, we have to do all this on our own, but obviously not. So this has suddenly made it seem like actually plausible, like something I could.
No, I'd like to push something out on the listserv that says what agencies are people using to partner with for their programmatic.
Because yeah, I'm guessing there's others, but
There's a bunch.
Right.
There are a lot. I think, you know, this works for us because
Right.
of all the reasons I explained, but there might be someone within your own city that will provide this service for you and be willing to do that kind of partnership.
Mhm.
very cool. Ladies, thank you so much. That was amazing. So anyone else, questions? Nicole, Crystal, Andrea? We're all good. Okay. Dave.
So very, very many questions.
Just
But
email us. We're happy. Or get us on a Zoom call again because we'll have wine and discuss it.
You know
further.
what? I am gonna do that.
Yeah.
But first, let me end this recording by saying thank you.